So, hello, I just want to quickly talk about some of the significant things that were spoken at the Bristol hackfest in Bristol a couple of days ago. And the thing I kind of want to talk about is there's kind of two things talked about. That this page here is the technical discussion idea, what I think is one of the major ideas, and here's kind of some of the human discussion. But of course, the technical and the human sides are very much related. But let me try to get into it right away. One of the things I want to talk about first is what happens at the very start with trying to decide how to organize information. You get a bunch of information, and then a human has to start worrying about what to do with that information. And to kind of jump over from there, what happens is, what are you going to do it? Where are you going to place it? And so there's kind of two choices right now that are beyond SQL. One are triple stores, which are represented by my multiple servers here, and then the other one over here is what I'm going to call the key value store, which is very simple. And it's interesting because the distinction between these two things is basically one is intended for graph-like storage, or tree storage on the left here, and the other one's for list or hierarchy storage. And the funny thing about it, of course, is that robots like lists. They want to be able to say 100, 100, 100 as fast as they can and do that in a list and a hierarchy way. Where humans, on the other hand, they like trees. They actually want to be able to put things in these formulas where they're able to do cross-searching and mapping across multiple hierarchies, and that's, of course, the way we think and the way we do things. But, of course, for us both to work together, either you've got to store the stuff in the graph, tree, and triple stores and then expose a layer on top of it to be able to show it as a list or a hierarchy so the machine can process it and deliver it quickly over the web, or it can be in a key value store, which of course machines can process very quickly, but then you've got to add a layer on top of it via the RDF by which we can actually do the graph and the tree processing. And so there's kind of a real contrast between simplicity for machine or complexity for the human, and then having to translate one or the other back so that both can actually use the information and do what they do best. To kind of finish off that conversation, and this is where it gets complicated in which one of these you actually want to put it in, is the human process of, okay, if I'm going to put it in there, I've got to start deciding what are the vocabularies I'm going to use, and also what web vocabularies I'll use, as well as what of the personal collection vocabularies you'll use. And most of the time, it's pretty easy to do some of the real broad things. So things like Dublin Core Author and Faux Phone, you can use broadly, and that's simple to use. But what really gets difficult is when you get into the real specific my vocabulary terms and being able to say, okay, what are the specific things about this collection I want to expose? And it becomes difficult because then you start looking around for other people's vocabularies on the web and other terms that you can reuse, other URIs. So it gets very difficult at that point, and there needs to be a human decision so that you can make all this complicated technical decision about the difference between kind of being able to do proactive term selection versus reactive term selection. And what I mean by that is, as you're organizing this information and deciding how to place it in your system, what you need to do is just do quick wins. So if Dublin Core Author fits or another broad vocabulary term fits, use it. If it doesn't, then just mint your own and quickly move on. You can always come back later and do the reactive process of remapping the specific term to what you used in your vocabulary, your URI. And it's kind of that balance of knowing how to use the broad terms but also be willing to use your own specific terms, which I think is a real kind of lesson learned in watching the pragmatic way that pragmatic developers were getting on with doing linked data at the event. So there you go. There's the kind of human and technical aspects of making decisions about which systems to use.